Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Season 5 of Eye on the Future with Lady Fontaine and co-hosts Jim Elkin and Paul LaPlaca. To schedule a reading or learn more about Lady Fontaine, also known as America's #1 love psychic, be sure to check out Lady Fontaine's website at ladyfontaine.com. Now, here's Lady Fontaine with co-hosts Jim Elkin and Paul LaPlaca.
Good evening and welcome to Eye in the Future. This is Season 5, Episode 12. And today is Thursday, June 17th, 2021. I'm your host, Paul LaPlaca, along with our in-house spiritual guru, Jim Elkin, and our resident psychic extraordinaire, phenomenal life coach and relationship expert, Lady Fontaine. She is known as America's #1 love psychic. A warm welcome to those of you watching us live on social media platforms such as Facebook and YouTube. And for those of you watching us on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button below to be notified of our new shows. We welcome your comments below the live streaming. Be sure to check out Facebook for details where and when to view the live shows, specials, discounts, love, relationship, prosperity, and manifesting tips, and much more. Since we are live streaming, for those who don't know, James Elkin is our in-house spiritual guru. Say hi, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
And of course, our lovely psychic and phenomenal relationship expert, Lady Fontaine. In case you're wondering, she's the one with the pink headphones. Remember, if you miss a show, you'll be able to catch up with us at any time on our YouTube channel or listen to it on Blog Talk Radio, iTunes, or any other podcast distributor. Please visit our YouTube channel and Facebook page called Eye on the Future Radio Show. We have a jam-packed show tonight. As we announced on our last show, we're all offering 50% discounts for our services to listeners and viewers. So stay tuned for this show's secret code, and later in the show, we'll send that out to you to take advantage of this limited time offer. Our phone lines are open. Our switchboard is lighting up, and we want to hear from you. We'll be taking your calls tonight throughout the show at 319-527-6216. That's 319-527-6216. Call us tonight on the intriguing topic of the art of letting go or any other topic that you would like to discuss. We're here to answer your questions. Don't forget to follow us here on Blog Talk Radio and like us and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Be sure to like us, hit subscribe, and for those of you watching on YouTube, a quick reminder to callers, please have one question for Lady Fontaine. For general questions like when will Bill call or when will I get a new job, please visit Lady Fontaine's website at ladyfontaine.com. Since the show is your brainchild, Lady Fontaine, I want to turn the mic over to you. But before I do, how was your birthday week? I know you had a lot of plans with friends. I also celebrate the whole week on my birthday.
I know, but I think I'm into week 2 already in celebrating my birthday since a friend of mine took me out the other day. So it's been really spectacular. I spent, the first celebration I think was Memorial Day, then on my birthday, then the day after my birthday. Then I went on a friend's boat. Then last week, it's been great. It's really been spectacular. I guess turning 39 is really a big deal because my friends made a real big deal over it this year. So it was exciting. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, that happened to me 2 months ago, 39.
That's right. You're younger than me by
That's right.
by a month and a half.
That's something like that, yeah.
You're May something, right? May what?
April. Late April.
Oh, April?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so you are quite a bit older than me. And actually, our next show, after we come back from hiatus, is going to be on astrology. So would you do our charts for us, or at least come up with some...
I'd be happy to. That'd be fun.
Paul, don't forget to send your birth information. Do you know where you were born and what time?
I have to double check on the time, but I do know the location.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, then you can maybe give some highlights.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we have a little bit of time because we are going to take a bit of a hiatus. So
we're going to take a break when?
I think this is our last show until July 29th. July 29th.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think the last show will be June 27th. Is that correct?
No, Jim is going to be on some motorcycle thing.
Okay.
Some Harley thing,
and then there's
right?
no shows in July. We'll return in August. All right, so we're going to take a little break. So, Jill, you mentioned your soul tribe. Can you explain what that is?
Oh, yeah. Well,
Did you just do that? Can you hit rewind? I'm a little... I must have missed it when I was trying to set up all the technology stuff.
No, I said it to you before the show. So what the soul tribe is a lot of people, know soulmates. And basically what we do is we reincarnate in groups of people. And they're people that we lifetime after lifetime after lifetime reincarnate with. And when you find somebody who's a member of your soul tribe, you know it. It's like you've known them forever. You connect in all kinds of ways. And what I was telling you before the show started is that I did spend some time on my birthday week with people from my soul tribe. And it was fabulous. It really, really was. You really connect with people in a different way. I didn't even know you listened. I thought you were so busy doing all that setup stuff. I didn't even know you heard me.
I have 2 ears.
See, you listen better than I thought. But that's what a soul tribe is. Jim, do you have any other input into that?
Yeah, well, it's true that there's groups of people or beings, I should say, because it's not just individual people, but it's all kinds of creatures, animals and whatnot are part of your soul tribe, if you want to call it that. We've never had a word for it in the things that I've studied. It's just the awareness that we're all linked by our karma, and so there's another side to it too, and that is that people that we really would rather not have around us are sometimes linked to us as well. So that's a part of your soul tribe, and just like in a real tribe, where you don't have the power of deciding who's a member all by yourself, your soul tribe might also have members that are not very favorable to you.
But what I feel...
Go ahead.
Okay, what I feel is that our true soulmates are the ones that really, really hurt us the most, because they're the ones that we learn the greatest lessons from. And I believe when we're in between lifetimes, we'll pick like our most treasured, comrade and say, I need you to help me. I need you to teach me a lesson in this lifetime so I could get rid of this once and for all and deal with it. And that is your true soulmate. So Jim's right. We travel with the good, the bad, and the ugly.
It also explains why some people you don't like some people, or some people you'd rather not have around, but some of your best friends are close friends with them. And it's like, sometimes it's hard for me to figure out, how can you be a friend of that person? He's so disgusting.
Right? And what does that say about me? If you can be friends with them, what's wrong with me?
Something's wrong somewhere here, and that's what it is. It's not that person is really inherently disgusting. It's just that your energies don't meld as well, but you're karmically linked to that person. You have no choice. You are part of that tribe too.
Well, don't you learn your greatest lessons from people that might not necessarily be pleasant to be around? Like when you say, oh, that person really pushes my buttons. That's where the greatest lessons can come from, because you're challenged by them. You're challenged to be a better person, a more patient person, and when you don't want to be.
But they are truly our soulmates as well. We don't think of those people as our soulmates, but they are.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe we're a lesson for them. Sometimes we're so wrapped up in ourselves, we don't recognize that I don't like this person, but maybe you're in their life for them instead of always focusing on yourself. It's like, oh, I'm supposed to be a lesson for them sometimes.
Right.
You just don't know.
Right.
Often. Yeah, often.
So is there anything special that our followers can do to draw in their soul family and be more welcoming of the lessons without having to feel like their soulmate has to be a pleasant experience? What tips do you have for them?
Well, I would say meditation. Even, there's all those apps out there right now, or even if you're on YouTube or iTunes, all those frequency, music or sounds. I believe all of that helps us get into a better emotional state and also a higher frequency. And it's that higher frequency that's going to help draw us to both our soulmates and our soul tribe. But I also feel, put your intent out there. I want to find my soul tribe. Intent is like, to me, one of the most magical things. If you go through life without a purpose, you're never going to find anything. But if you set your intent and have a purpose, you're going to find it, or they're going to find you.
Right. You're going to draw them in magnetically almost.
Yeah, but be careful what you ask for.
Exactly.
So what do you mean by that? Tell me what you mean. I know what you mean, but how in that, when we're trying to draw in our soul tribe?
Well, in the soul tribe in particular, or the soul mate in particular, what I've seen is that people often will have a laundry list of things that they want to see in that person. And the things that are in that laundry list have to be spoken very carefully so that they don't get something they didn't want.
Yeah, but doesn't that always happen that, you can't come up with a list so extensive with wants and don't wants? You always get don't wants along with the wants.
Oh,
I mean, it's par for the course.
Of course. But I mean, if somebody asks for someone who's strong and then that person turns out to be, too strong or too protective or, things like that, it kind of has to be tempered. And that's what I'm saying is you want to be very careful what you ask for.
Is it better? Because sometimes I think it's better to give a high view picture, an overview, rather than the nitty gritty. Unless there's things that are very, very important. Like I'm very deep. I'm emotionally deep and spiritually deep. So I would not match with somebody who didn't have that intuitiveness or that depth.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that's important. But if you get into every single nitty gritty that you want, how many people fit that bill?
Well, no, of course. I'm just saying the things that you stipulate, the things that you specify have to be very carefully stated. That's all.
I agree. So could you give a hint, like how to do that? Like if you do want somebody strong, you use that. Or if I do want somebody deep, how would I word that?
Strong yet sensitive. Protective and not violent. Okay. Big. That's kind of the thing I'm talking about. Not abusive in any way. And trying not to using the word not. So
right.
supportive instead of abusive, things like that. Trying to be positive in the messages that you put into that. But that's the idea.
The reason I was laughing before when Jim brought that up is because I mentioned this a couple weeks ago on one of the shows that when I was younger, I was in my early 20s, and I prayed for strength and wisdom. Not understanding that strength and wisdom comes through overcoming challenges. So I thought I would just wake up the next day strong and wise. It's like, oh no, I went through 10 years of hell, and all those life experiences is what gives you strength and wisdom. So be careful what you wish for, because in order to get those things, you have to do the work.
That's right.
Right.
But would you change anything in the big picture of things? Because you are who you are. You are who you are based on your experience. You would?
Yeah, I would. I have some serious regrets about some of my choices and my behavior in my 20s for sure. I mean, it's not that I would want to avoid the pain I caused myself. I would want to fix the pain I caused other people from the choices I made as a young man. Yeah, I would change those things.
From a karmic standpoint, Jim, is there a way to do that, or is there a way for him to, so he's not tied to these people indefinitely?
There are ways, but they're very Buddhist.
I can do Buddhist. I can do some quiet meditation and abstain from meat, whatever it is.
Well, the real problem is that the person that you have this connection that you'd like not to have with also has that connection. So it's a two-way thing.
Right.
Just because you dissolve your side doesn't mean they'll dissolve their side. But
right.
The best way to do something along that line is to counteract it with positive intention.
Exactly.
So in Buddhist thinking, we talk about compassion a lot, and so having compassion. If you're thinking some nice thoughts, think that they should have them too. If you're going by a beautiful house, offer the house to them in your mind. You don't have to actually buy it and offer it to them. But
yeah, I think I've done that by default.
No, tell them to do that.
Right? I think that's good.
Hey, and you got to straighten out with me, Paul.
Well, after one of my relationships ended really badly, people would ask me about my former, partner, and I would say, I wish her nothing but the best, and I'm going to keep on saying that until it's true.
Okay.
Brainwash yourself.
And eventually it did become true. But at the time, I didn't wish her anything but ill. And, I just kept on saying it. I wish her nothing but the best until that becomes true. And then when I started feeling that, I felt a lot better.
Yeah.
But that's a perfect segue into tonight's show, because really learning how to let go. Letting go isn't only about letting go of a person or letting go of, a thing. It's about, you can let go of those bad feelings. You can let go of the regrets. You can let go of a lot of that stuff. So we'll get into that a little bit later on. But that's the perfect segue. It really is.
Well, be sure to stay tuned, everyone. We're going to be taking calls throughout the show. And our new number here is 319-527-6216. As a reminder, we have a few ads running in various places. We are looking for a social media manager who can do regular posts on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and they'd be responsible for posting graphics and social media campaigns. During the show, you will help with screening calls and, if desired, introduce callers on the air and, in general, being part of our great team here. There's no pay yet, but you do get great access to Lady Fontaine for either psychic advice or life coaching. I had one session this week. It was phenomenal. I can't wait to dig in and get to work on the advice she's given me so far. And plus, it's great exposure. Looks great on your resume. If you're interested, please email us at radioshow@ladyfontaine.com. Radioshow@ladyfontaine.com for our social media manager. We just need a resume, contact info, and a photo. Lady Fontaine or her assistant Star will contact you if you're right for the job.
And one other thing, not only are they going to be posting graphics, but they can use their creativity and come up with the graphics, right, Paul?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've been having a lot of fun doing it.
You have, really?
Of course. I love playing with Photoshop. It's a lot of fun.
But that would be an opportunity for somebody to do that as well. And, like even my Lady Fontaine page needs help. Needs a lot of help because I never post anything. I don't. So please be out there and volunteer.
Well,
I'll give you readings every week.
Welcome that energy in, right? We're going to think positively and let that flow in. We need another partner here to help us out. Plus it'll make 4 on the screen and we'll have a square.
That's true, right? Instead of somebody always being where Paul is right now. Although I like being in that spot.
So
on the screen.
Tonight we have a special guest caller. Are we ready to talk to our guest?
Yes. Now, actually, I've asked my friend Pete to be on the show, Dr. Peter Hunt. Now, I've known Pete for 20 years, and when I was living in that area, obviously, he was my chiropractor, but he's also a really good friend, and he's gone through some really interesting times, and his growth and his awareness is really inspirational. And that's why I asked him to come on the show. So I'm really very, very honored to introduce my friend, Dr. Peter Hunt. And he wants to share his story and his very inspirational story with all of us. Pete, are you on the air? Are you on the phone? Are you there?
Hang on.
Yes, I am.
There he is.
Hey, Pete. Yes. Well, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Well, thanks very much. It was interesting listening in. I wasn't sure if I was if I was allowed to chime in or not, because there were several spots, and it's like I was dying to say something, but I didn't.
Oh.
So I held my tongue because I figured that's what I was supposed to do.
Thank you.
Well, you were muted, but if you want to add in any comments to anything that we spoke about, feel free to do so.
Okay. Well, real quick, there was something that you were talking about people pushing our buttons, and
yes.
being around people that push the buttons and so on. And it always reminded me of this thing that I heard when I first got involved with metaphysics like 25 years ago, the parable of the orange. Squeeze an orange, what comes out is what's inside. It doesn't matter who squeezes it, doesn't matter the time of day, time of year, whatever. The person who squeezes what's inside. And the person doing the squeezing.
I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt you, but you must be using speakerphone because it's not very clear, and so it's hard to understand you.
I'm sorry. I thought I turned it off speakerphone. How is that? Is this a little better?
Yes,
seems like it.
That's
yeah.
better. Yes.
Okay. I just let the phone drop because I'm so used to speaking on speakerphone. So, apologize for that.
No problem. So you were reading a parable? Tell us about the
could
parable.
You repeat that?
No, the parable about the orange. When you squeeze an orange, what comes out is what's inside. It doesn't matter who does the squeezing. It doesn't matter the time of day. Nothing else matters, because when a person is squeezed, what comes out is what's inside, and the person doing the squeezing did not put it there. So part of the letting go is to figure out, well, how did that negative emotion get there to begin with, and be thankful for the person doing the squeezing.
I have never heard that. I've never heard that, and you've never told me that before, and that does make a lot of sense. I'm sitting here smiling, hearing you say that. So thank you for sharing that.
Well, that was the one thing I wanted to jump in with. It's one of the first things I remember hearing. Actually, the person that a lot of people start out with when they start looking into metaphysical, I heard him talk about that eons ago.
Your connection, you're on a cell phone, right?
Yes.
All right. You keep on going in and out. And I know you don't have a landline. I know you don't.
No, I don't.
Are you moving around?
Nope, I'm sitting on the ground.
Oh, that's a good place. You're grounded.
Hey, that was like a joke.
Oh, well, it worked for me. Well, hopefully we're going to be able to hear you through this, because you have a fascinating story. And I just want to sort of set the scenario up a little bit. Could I mention where you are and the name of your practice, Pete?
Yeah, you can mention whatever you want.
All right. So as I mentioned, this is Dr. Peter Hunt, and his practice is integrative medicine or integrative chiropractic?
Integrated healthcare.
Okay, integrated healthcare in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. And like I said, Pete and I have known each other for a really long time, and Pete is very, very spiritual. And through the years, I've worked with Pete in giving him psychic advice on where I saw him going. And I've always seen Pete expanding and expanding and getting involved with many different people. I mean, some chiropractors or medical professionals are just on a single track. I always felt Pete was going to expand, bring other people in, get involved with all these different modalities. And along the way, he would talk to me about it. And I would feel the puzzle pieces sort of falling into place. And I would say, well, we've got that one, and there's still more out there. Or, gee, that one feels perfect. And other ones don't feel so right that he talks to me about. But it's been an amazing process watching his growth in the past 20 years. So when Pete told me about a month or a month and a half ago, whatever it was, that he didn't feel well, and he didn't really tell me he didn't feel well. I don't remember how he set the stage, but certainly I could feel in his energy, he sounded and felt very, very weak. And I was very, 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 very concerned. I was telling my friends that I didn't know how to tell him to go over to the emergency room, because Pete is spiritual and he pulls on the more spiritual solutions. There's, a holistic thing. There's, I just have to think in a certain way and everything's going to magically be better. But I saw him going downhill and I was very, 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 very concerned. I was literally losing sleep over it because I didn't know how to get him to wake up to the reality of a situation. And that's where I'm going to turn it over to Pete to start filling in some of the details and also talk about his wake-up call.
Okay. No, you and I had spoken several times, and I was trying to be as vague as possible. But obviously, with what you do and the gifts that you have, I wasn't able to deflect any of that, and you were pretty much hitting everything, right on the nose. And it was becoming more and more evident that I did have to do something medically, and it took my massage therapist and the gentleman who owns the hair salon next to me. We share a parking lot, to get together, and between the two of them, they were able to pull my head out of my rectum and get me over to the emergency room, which is where I needed to be.
But when I spoke to Pete, like we spoke every day, like Monday, he wasn't doing well. Tuesday, he wasn't doing well. Wednesday, I was really concerned. And Thursday, I was going for genetic testing, and I was sitting outside of the doctor's office, and I called Pete before I went in. And I asked him 3 questions. I said, are you dealing with any swelling or edema? And he said, yes. I said, do you have any chest pains? He said, yes. And what was the third thing I asked you, Pete?
Well, I had a little bit of chest pain. It was shortness of breath.
Shortness of breath was the other thing I asked him. Do you have shortness of breath? And he said, yes. And then I said to you,
you said there's something serious going on that needs medical attention, and it needs it like right now.
You and I both knew what it was at that point. You admitted finally what it was.
Oh yeah. Oh no, there was no doubt about it. It was impossible to ignore.
Well, continue with your story. You did a very good job at ignoring it. You're a pro at that.
I did. And to back up a little bit, from the beginning part of the year, my mother, who passed away back in March, her health went downhill very, very quickly, and she ended up passing away on, St. Patty's Day. but I was still going up to visit her and so on because I knew if I, I would have to stop 4 or 5 times to walk 100 yards to where her room was, to catch my breath. But I still kept going up there. And it took another few weeks after she passed to finally, okay. Because I realized, because I realized that if I had gone sooner, and once again, it's not an excuse, but if I had gone sooner, I wouldn't have been able to, see her before she passed, and I wouldn't have been able to visit her the way I did. So, but once again, that was, those were the choices that I made. So.
And what did the doctors tell you when you got to the hospital?
Well, I was in congestive heart failure. When I went to I ended up losing. I went into the hospital weighing about 260. I left the hospital weighing about 230, and I'm right now about 218 pounds. All edema and swelling. Wow. So I was basically filled up like the Michelin Man.
Mm-hmm. And what did the doctor tell you about what would have happened if you didn't make it over to the hospital when you did?
Well, if I hadn't gone I wouldn't have lasted more than a couple more days.
And what did you learn from that experience?
Well, one of the big things, first of all, is there's a time and a place for everything. The metaphysical stuff is great, and I continue to practice that. But there are certainly times where a person needs to reach out and needs to reach out for the appropriate help. But then I also realized too, and I talked to you on the phone about this when I was in the hospital, that realizing that there's a lot of people around me who care and want to see me do well and want me to be well, and to not acknowledge that was not fair it wasn't fair to myself, and it wasn't fair to them either. And so pick up call in that regard, but then it went even deeper, as we talked about, where why didn't I feel I deserved to get the help or to get better? So there were things hiding below the surface that was blocking me from going for help because the signs were obvious. There's no way anybody could have missed them.
Right. I mean, like 40 pounds of fluid is unbelievable to have in your body.
Oh, yeah. And I had a number of patients tell me, boy, you look terrible. Terrible and the back and so on.
You were seeing patients during that time?
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
We're losing you, Pete.
I did take a week off before I went to the hospital. Up until then, I was seeing people. So.
Yeah.
And I would come home and this. So just as much as until I realized that it finally got to me that this is really ridiculous. And so not only going to the hospital, obviously, which is what I should have done, but being able to reach out to Jill and talk to her about it, because we've known each other for a long time, and we've helped each other in various things over the years, there has to be some sort of a
You're breaking
here.
up really bad, Pete. We can hardly hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. But there's some sort of a pattern there that's been there for quite a long time, and until I start to address that, then I'm not really going to learn what I need to learn from this and really live up to learn the lessons that I'm supposed to be learning from this. So, once again, knowing Jill for a long time, we've talked about many different things, but we never talked about the life coaching that she does. And so she offered her service. I've done 2 sessions with her, and they've been phenomenal.
Pete is really, he's phenomenal at doing this. We'll tap into an emotion and he'll trace it right back to when he was a week old and feel the sense of he's adopted. And Pete, how old were you when your parents adopted you?
Around 9 months.
So his first 9 months were basically in a foster home. And he's able to go back to those very lonely experiences or those lonely moments in his childhood. And he taps right into it. And he gets it. I mean, he's doing beautifully. But what I'm most impressed about, Pete, is your openness, your awareness, and you've never looked at this experience. You were near death, and you've never looked at the experience in a negative way. You've only looked at it from an inspirational way and what you're gaining from it. I mean, I've never seen somebody so happy to be in the hospital and love every single person in the hospital, the nurses, the doctors, everybody he loved, everybody. And the people that stepped up to the plate and showed their concern and helped Pete when he was, like somebody took care of his cats, somebody was driving him to the hospital, picking him up. People were visiting, they were calling, Pete, who I think thought that he didn't have anybody, discovered that he had a heck of a lot of people there for him.
Absolutely. But also realizing, and this is part of what we're going through with doing your life coaching and so on, is realizing that I deserve that. This is everybody deserves it. They deserve to have people in their life. They deserve to have people, they deserve to have people who care about them and them, and then myself caring of other people. It's not just cutting oneself off, which is what I've done for years.
And you have done that for years. I mean, you really have.
Absolutely.
I mean, from a personal connection. I mean, you go into Pete's office, he is the most friendly, talkative, happy, upbeat chiropractor I think I've ever been to in my life. But inside, he wasn't any of that. And I think he was very much a loner and very much living almost like a hermit, wouldn't you say? Like, do you ever have company?
No, I do live like a hermit.
Right, he does. Well, I think that's changing. I told him when I'm up there, we're going to dinner. So it'll be the first time in 20 years we've gone out to dinner.
Here we go. That'll be nice. And the first time we had a session, we had a life coaching session. That was the most I've cried in for as long as I can remember, and it felt so good to be able to do that. And it was a spontaneous reaction to whatever was going on at the time, and it felt wonderful. I would like to share a couple things that are going on now, though. Residual stuff, which tells me that blocks are being removed. You and I had talked about this last week. For the last 4, 5, 6 years or whatever, I get more and more freaked out about storms, like big thunderstorms and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that doesn't. We had some huge thunderstorms come through the area a couple of weeks ago. It didn't bother me at all. I was out on the front porch watching them, and I really enjoyed
it.
And the other thing is, like a lot of people, I like to listen to stuff when I'm in bed on YouTube. Different people and so on. And a lot of times when I used to listen to stuff, especially when it comes about that I study myself, which is A Course in Miracles, and other things, I would listen to people and I would get very judgmental about it. It's like, well, they're not doing it right. I don't agree with this. I don't agree with that. And now I find myself just enjoying it and listening to it and getting out of it what I'm supposed to get out of it with no judgment whatsoever. And dude, for me, that's a huge change.
And that is a very beneficial change in life, to not be judgmental, because you were probably blocking and missing a lot of things that, were important to you. So,
there's no doubt about that, because there's certain people that teach the course and talk about the course that I've been very critical of in the past, and I find myself listening to them. It's like, oh, that's a good point. So I'm not judging or disagreeing. I'm getting out of it what's there for me.
No, I mean, that's awesome. But I've seen the transformation in you by your openness to get the help. I mean, you never asked for help, and you always minimized everything and just kind of dealt with it and lived with it. And now you're getting whatever help you need, be it physical or emotional. And I think that is, to me, the greatest awareness that I see in you. Plus, I'm glad to hear that all these other things. Plus, I just said to you a week ago, are you still working with the Course in Miracles? And you said no. And then we had to cancel the show last week due to technical issues. And you told me that's when you started back with the Course in Miracles.
I just happened to scroll through YouTube, and something came up, and I just put it on. And as I was listening to it, it's like I was getting a lot out of it. But also too, the big thing was that I noticed was I'm not nitpicking and picking through, like, I don't agree with this. I think he's right about that, but I don't agree with this. And so it was like this. A whole message. I was listening to the college show. I was listening with a number of different people, talking about their experiences and the questions that they had and so on. And I really enjoyed it.
And you really are phenomenal with A Course in Miracles. I mean, we did a show probably 10 years ago, and Pete was on the show, and he was talking about A Course in Miracles. And it's still up. I mean, it's still on Blog Talk Radio, iTunes. I don't remember what the episode was called or what episode number it was, but it's still up there. It was one of our first shows that we ever did. And it was a great episode. I learned a lot from it. And what did you just tell me today or yesterday? You sent me a text about the people that channeled the Course in Miracles.
Well, Helen Schuckman, she was the one who received the information. She was not trained, so she was awake and aware of what was going on. Bill Thetford was her boss, who typed up everything. And Ken Wapnick later on came in and helped organize all the material. But they were all PhDs in psychology, and they were all Freudian psychologists. And so they referred to the Course in Miracles as spiritual psychoanalysis. Text itself is very Freudian, where it talks about everything is in the collective, the collective unconscious, and it's stuck there because of guilt. And so, a major part of the Course in Miracles is to be able to forgive that unconscious guilt. Like so many of the things that come into our lives are a projection of that unconscious guilt, and being able to see it as that and being able to forgive it.
And we're having a great difficulty. I mean, the stuff that you're saying is phenomenal, but we're having a great difficulty hearing you. You're breaking up really bad.
So what I did catch, though, was that you were talking about Jungian psychiatrists getting this information and typing it up?
Freudian psychology.
Freudian psychology. But they were talking about the collective unconscious, which is a Jungian concept.
Right. Once again, whether it came from, they talked about it being Freudian. So
I see.
Well, back in the day, back in that day when, because I know when I was in college, that's all we learned was Freud and Jung. That's all there was. I mean, nowadays in psychology, there's so much more. There's so many different modalities, but those were the main, like channels in psychology. So even if they were Freudian, they could have had some Jung, beliefs in there, I would guess.
I'd be surprised.
Or maybe or maybe they gained it once they started a channel, because then you realize
that's what I'm thinking, is that they said, what else can we fall on? And Jung was the only thing there that could answer the questions.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Jung had that broader perspective.
That's the irony of it. That's why I was amused by it.
Oh.
Because Freud and Jung had a big argument and a falling apart early on, and it was over this kind of stuff. Freud did not want to go into spirituality, and Jung was very, very excited about it.
Very, right.
And so the two of them separated ways, and so to hear Freudian and analysts talking about Jungian concept as being an explanation was just exciting for me.
Well, I think that probably had it. I mean, how else could you explain it if you're a Freudian psychologist? How would you explain what was happening? She was channeling all this stuff. Have you read A Course in Miracles? I mean, anytime I pick it up, it's like reading the Bible. It's really not easy reading.
No, it goes round and round and round in circles over and over again. The first time I read the text, it took me 9 months to read it. I only read 2 or 3 pages at a time, and I read it out loud. To get a gist of what the course is about, and it's not for everybody, and it says that right out front, that this is not for everybody. This is one part of the universal curriculum. This is just one part of it. It's not the part. It's a part. And if a person goes on YouTube and listens to the audiobook, the Course in Miracles audiobook, first 20 minutes or so, it talks about what it is, how it came about, and what it said. Because the very first thing that was said in the channeling was, kind of paraphrasing here, nothing real is threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. So anything that can be threatened is not real, and it's not a part of God. And that's the course in a nutshell. So it's a whole different way of thinking. So, which once again, it's not for everybody, but it works for me.
I've picked up that book twice, and each time I thought that book was written for me. I remember the first time I picked it up, it was around Easter and Passover, and as I'm reading the chapters, it was saying this is the time of Passover, the time of Easter, and it was directly talking to me. I mean, it was. And then I put it down after a while because it's difficult reading. And then I picked it up again one time around Christmas, and they started to talk about the birth of Christ and Christmas. And I go, oh my God, this book was written for me. It knows where I am, when I'm there, and what season it is. I mean, the book was written for me, but I never got through it. I never did. Pete, go ahead. Go ahead.
Once again, the author claims what he told Helen Sutton was, first time I was here, got it wrong.
You're breaking up really bad.
Yeah, we really
can't understand you.
Jesus said, the first time I was here, I'm here to set the record straight, or that.
Yeah.
We still can't hear you. You're breaking up really bad.
What about now?
Well,
maybe a little bit better.
Fairly clear, but you're fading in and out very, very hard, very much.
No, you're still, and honestly, I've spoken to you a million times, and I've never had this problem with you before. Would you hang up and try dialing back in? And in the meantime, And in the meantime, we could take a few callers.
I'll call back in just a minute.
Okay.
And let's see if maybe it's a better connection. But at least we could move on. But before we do move on, oftentimes I like to start the show with a quote. And today I went crazy because there were so many quotes I couldn't pick the one that I wanted. So I'm going to read a few of these. They're all short. I'm not going into a long thing. I know that some of these are very pertinent to some of the clients that I'm working with right now. Some are pertinent to ones that I've worked with in the past, and some of them resonated with me. But they were all about letting go, and we are going to get to the topic of letting go shortly if we have time. Do we have a lot of callers in queue today, guys?
Not a lot.
Okay. All right. So, all right, let me just whiz through some of these. All right. The first one is, if you spend too long holding on to the one who treats you like an option, you'll miss finding the one who treats you like a priority. The next one really resonated with me. If someone is stupid enough to walk away from you, be smart enough to let them go. And that's one I hear from clients all day long. And the problem is most people don't let go, and they spend a lot of time and waste a lot of effort on someone who, as this quote said, was stupid enough to walk away. The next one is, once you realize you deserve better, letting go will be the best decision ever. The next one is, you could love them. Paul, this might pertain to you. You could love them, forgive them, want good things for them, but still move on without them. The next one, close some doors, not because of pride, incapacity, or arrogance, but simply because they no longer lead somewhere. And that, to me, was, for me, probably one of the most important ones, because I believe that, people come in and out of our lives. They don't necessarily come in and stay forever. Some people stay for a season, a day, a season, a month, or whatever. And be aware of that. Be happy. Look for the gifts and lessons. And when they were there, not the emptiness because they're not there. The next one, it's not a matter of letting go. You would if you could. Instead of let it go, we should say, let it be. Does that resonate with you, Jim?
Oh, much better than letting go.
Yeah.
Because
so
letting go is actually a form of attachment. You're still holding on to something. If you're letting go of it, you're still thinking about it and paying attention to it. But if you're letting it be, you can let it be at peace. You can let it. You can just leave it there and walk away. Without having any attachment. I do want to talk about attachment and detachment today, because I think that's the critical part of letting go. I never saw it that way, but that's an interesting way, because then it's neutral. Let it be. You're not, with it. You're not without it. You just are. You're not pushing it away. You're not closing any doors. You're just walking.
I got it.
Somewhere else.
I like that a lot. So I might have to change the way I say this. Let it be. Let it be. Wasn't that a Beatles song? Let it be.
Yeah.
Let it be. Yeah. I think we should have been prepared with some background music. The next one
I can mess it up real quick if you like.
The next one is, anything you can't control is teaching you how to let go. Now, Jim, you used that one on me a few weeks ago. When I was having all those technical issues, I remember you said to me, and I said to you, well, I can't come back on the phone after an hour of technical issues and just do a reading because I'm in a different state of mind. And you said, do you remember what you said?
Maybe the point is that you're supposed to learn how to do just that.
Right. And I said, I don't know how. I don't work like that. But that was the exact one. So I put that one in for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm honored.
Well, we're honored to have you on the
Oh,
show.
well, thank you.
We're honored for your brilliance. So the next one is, in the end, only three things matter. How much you loved, how gently you loved, and how gracefully you let go of things not meant for you. And there was something that I was going to put on Facebook the other day, and I got busy and I didn't. And it basically said, what's meant for you won't pass you by. I mean, everybody's so afraid, and especially I get clients, oh, well, if I don't do this, that, or the other thing, the person will leave me. Well, then they're not meant for you if they're going to leave you that easily. I mean, to me, it's pretty obvious and pretty easy. But that's when we should be aware. And I always say, why are you holding on? And that's when you can figure out what the real trigger is that's causing you to hold on. And then there's only a couple more. This one actually reminds me of, I'm probably saying the name wrong, but there's somebody, do you know that guy who wrote the Kabbalah books, Jim? His last name is Berg. His name is Yehuda, Yehuda?
Yeah, Yehuda.
Yehuda. So I remember in his story, in one of his books, there was a story about an employee that stole like hundreds of thousands of dollars from him. And he really didn't make a big deal over it. He just kind of said, okay, well, that money was obviously meant for him and not me. Even though the guy stole it from him, he didn't hold on. He didn't send out any bad thoughts or bad wishes. He just knew if it was meant for him, it would be his. And then this last one is one of the happiest moments in life is when you find the courage to let go of what you can't change. And I thought that was pretty important too. And that goes beyond just letting go of relationships, because I'm one that I make all these associations with things. I do. And those become anchored in our reality that we believe, okay, if this happens, then this is going to follow. And I make those associations all the time. And I always work on letting go of those associations. So this way, it's not, something great happens. I don't expect that negative thing to happen. So for me, that's truly what that meant. So bottom line is, in my eyes, there's tremendous power in letting go. Jim would say in letting be. So in a relationship, what I think is really important that most people don't understand is that when I tell a client to let go, it doesn't mean that because oftentimes I'll say that when someone is in a relationship or trying to get somebody back, I'll say let go, because the more you hold on, I always make the correlation to a garden hose. That imagine that you drive a car over a garden hose, the water stops going through because you squash it, you strangle it. And then when you move the car off, the water flows again. So when we're holding on so tight, we're causing that same type of restriction in the energy, and we don't let things flow. And I'm going to tell you a story about a perfect example for me. I had made an offer on this house in upstate New York a couple of years ago, and I really wanted this house. And the owner was a real estate agent, and so they played hardball with me, and I wasn't going to play, so I walked away. But I was so attached to this house. I really wanted this house. And I thought about the house constantly, and I wanted it. And I could feel that the guy wanted to call me, the owner, and I'm waiting, and he doesn't call me. In any event, I found the house that I'm living in now, and I saw it, and I go, wow, this is like a slice of heaven. And I made an offer. They accepted it, and I gave it my down payment or my deposit. And sure enough, the next day, lo and behold, who calls? The real estate agent of that house in New York. And he says to me, well, I'm thinking maybe we can make a deal. I'm more flexible and this and that. I go, sorry, I'm closing on a house in 2 weeks. But it was that I held on so tight to wanting him to call. And I see that all the time. I've seen it in relationships. When someone lets go, the person that you're holding on and you're wanting so badly suddenly reappears. When you hold on so tight, you restrict that energy, and you actually ruin it for yourself. But it's in relationships and situations, I believe in any and everything, you have the power to let go. And that's when magic comes into your life.
I have the exact same thing happen to me this weekend. We were out in the country in Pennsylvania, and we were visiting my girlfriend's aunts, and she has a pond in the back of her property. So my son and I were out back, and I found a frog, and I picked it up real quick, and I went to hand it to him, and I squeezed too hard, and it squirted right out of my hand. Just shot right out of my hand.
So that was you letting go, is it?
Well, it's me holding on too tight. It was me not letting go which caused me to lose the frog.
I see.
It was too slippery. Just like your story, Joe. Exactly the same thing.
Exactly. I see the similarities. So, Jim, could you talk to us a little bit about letting be and attachment and detachment?
Okay. Well, when we're talking about letting go, it's because there's something that we're holding on to, and so attachment is like holding on to something. It means that you're attached to it, and you're having a hard time letting it go. So in some cases, you might, as Paul mentioned earlier, there was a relationship that went sour, and he was angry, and he had a hard time letting go of the anger. He was still holding on to the anger.
Right.
So in Buddhist teaching, there are three sources of suffering in the world. One is attachment. The other one is aversion, that is not liking or not wanting to be around something or someone. And ignorance is just being, ignorant. If that's a good word. So when we're attached to something, we want to be connected with it. We want to own it or rent it or take it from somebody, or to be in relationship with it in some way. And this is the risk of attachment, because it can lead to disappointment.
It always leads to disappointment because you can't control anything in the outer world. If we're banking our life on somebody else's decisions or somebody else's liking us or whatever, we're always going to be disappointed because somewhere along the way something isn't going to go right.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you agree with that?
Sure, yeah. Disappointment's inevitable. The trick is, in a relationship, is to be committed to keep it going in spite of the disappointment. So that's a form of committed attachment, a relationship. Like a marriage. You want to keep the relationship. Commitment. Yeah.
Right, but that's a commitment. But you have to detach from the outcome. If you're sitting, in that situation, you commit to the marriage and working things through.
Yeah.
I find people who walk away from things too easily, they're cowards. They're weak.
Yeah.
I hate to say that, but I really do.
They've got other reasons that they're leaving. It's not because the relationship was sour, but something else.
Exactly.
Something in the person.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Especially if there's somebody who says that they're into either communication or working things out, and the first time something goes wrong, they walk away.
Sure.
I hear that all the time.
Yeah, and it's sad because they're never going to find what they want, because it was probably already with them at one point early on, and they walked away from it because it wasn't perfect.
Right, or that it's a trigger, that something just reminds them of something that didn't work in their lives earlier, so they walk away from it.
Yeah, so the important thing to keep in mind when you're in a relationship is there will be disappointments. Things will happen and people will disappoint you. That's human. The thing that's exceptional is to be willing to give them the space to be able to work that out, or work it out in yourself, because it might be you that's the problem as far as that's concerned.
Well, your outer world is always a reflection of what's going on inside of you. So if something bothers you in your partner, it means it's something brewing inside of you. It could be an old hurt. it could be whatever, but it wouldn't trigger you unless that's something in you. What comes to mind is I remember having a conversation with somebody a couple months ago, and they said something, and I gave my feelings about what they said. Mm-hmm. And they said to me something like, well, I don't think I could deal with having every word analyzed. I wasn't analyzing anything. Let's assume you said to me, I like chocolate cake. And I go, oh, well, I like vanilla cake. That's what it was like. I just gave my opinion on what I liked, and that was their response. So I knew they were triggered by something, apparently, something in their past. But I believe it's always that. It's always that. Otherwise, it's not going to bother you, and it's not going to be an issue.
Well, I think there are certain boundaries that, like an abusive relationship or a violent relationship.
Oh, that's different.
That's what, that's the extreme, but it's there has to be a line that you draw, a threshold that when someone crosses it, that you
that's boundaries.
Yeah,
right.
That's right. Yeah. So disappointment is one thing and boundaries is another thing. But again, sometimes people's boundaries are much too high or low, however you want to put it.
Or low. Most of them are low. They really are.
So anyway, so when you're attached to something, being attached to something, there's risk, and the risk is that you'll be disappointed or hurt when you can't get it, or if you do finally get it, you have to let go of it. You have to release it, because we all do at some point in our life. Anything we have, we're going to have to let go of. You can't take it with you.
Yeah.
So we're all looking forward to a time when everything we're attached to is going to go away. So this is why Buddhists are known to practice what's called detachment, which is avoiding the desire for connection. For example, the story about the Buddhist who declined to buy a vacuum cleaner because it had too many attachments.
Dad.
So the way Buddhists practice detachment is by shutting down the urge to want to connect with things or people and mentally giving them away. And so I talked with Paul about that. You asked me, what's a way that you can practice detachment? And one thing you can do is you can offer to your friend who you have a problem with something very nice, but not to them personally necessarily, but just the very thought of saying, wouldn't it be nice if I could give that person this house, and watch how things could change and eventually will change if you make a habit of that. So that's one way to practice attachment. Buddhists understand detachment. My apologies. Yes, you're right. Buddhists practice the idea of with people is that people you don't like. The idea of in Buddhism that there shouldn't be anybody on the planet that you don't want the best for. Okay.
That's hard, though.
That's really
how
hard.
Many people could really do that?
But the way they do it, the way they teach to do it, is you take everybody you hate and get to understand them. And when you finally understand them, you start to have empathy, and that brings them to a level where, okay, they're okay. You don't have to actually get to the point where you love them, but you can want the best for them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But I think it's
hard.
easier to love somebody that way and not like them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's easier to kind of separate that, like, I love you as a human being and I wish the best for you, but I can't stand you and I want you away from me. But I love you. Just stay over there.
That's kind of the idea. Is that in Buddhism, the teaching says that compassion is a desire for someone not to suffer.
Yeah.
And love is a desire for someone to have good things. And that's it.
Yeah.
As simple as that. No romance.
Right.
What?
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry.
I don't like this.
So, but that's for Buddhists, and ultimately,
they must have. What do you mean? They have no romance in their relationship?
They're mostly monks.
Oh, okay.
They're celibate.
Well, I think you can want good things for the person that you love, and
absolutely.
that can mean all kinds of stuff.
That's right.
That could be
Well,
as romantic as you want it to be there. It's like, I want you to have something good.
Sure.
right. But I look at somebody like Deepak Chopra that talks a lot about a lot of Buddhist type philosophies. Yet, I mean, he's married with kids.
Yeah, there are married with kids Buddhists. The trick is to be equanimous, meaning try to have the same amount of love for everybody. And that's hard, but that's the trick. So, for example, we don't need to go into all of that, but
but there's something important with what you just said, because we were talking about this in the last show about in order to draw in somebody, you have to love yourself. So if you love everybody equally, you're also loving yourself equally.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're one of them.
And if you don't love yourself, you're not going to be able to send love out to anybody either.
That's right.
Because even though you say you will, it's not true love. It's got to be not what we think of as love, but that true feeling of just, it's a feeling. It's not a word. It's a feeling of love.
But it's also an intention in a sense that I want the best for myself because I deserve it, or because, I'm a human being just like every other human being, and that gives me the right to have good things. But
that's words. How do you, I guess with intent, then it's intent.
It's intent. It's the intention. The whole idea is to build that intention. Actually, 3 times a day, that intention gets built in prayers that are said in the monasteries, where they're, one of the first things they do is they dedicate their lives to the happiness of all sentient beings. So they,
how long is their prayer sessions for?
Some of them last for days, but mostly they're just a little while. But it's part of their daily routine. They say prayers, they eat meals, they say prayers, they go to bed, they say prayers, they get up. But the first prayers that they say, they're one of the things that they're saying is that they dedicate themselves to all sentient beings. They will not seek the final enlightenment until all sentient beings have gone before them.
Wow, that is the true sense of selflessness.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if you're not a Buddhist, that doesn't help a lot. And I don't blame you. But I suggest looking closely at the risks and benefits of allowing yourself to be attached to any person or thing, so you can decide whether or not it's something you really want to have in your life. And that's important because that gives you the power of deciding, instead of just saying, I want a person, and this is a person, so let me get that person. You really need to look closely at the person or the thing that you're trying to obtain, just to see whether it's really something that you want to be attached to, and whether you're willing to take those risks of disappointment and loss at some time in the future.
And see, what I also see with attachment is that people lose themselves. They lose themselves in whatever it is that they want. And that's why they're not able to, I believe, if we're looking at manifesting or the law of attraction, because you're giving all your power away to that external thing.
Yeah.
In doing any of this, if you're not attached to something, then obviously your focus is on yourself rather than whatever it is that's out there, be it a person or a thing. But people think that the money, the house, the car, the job, the person, and too often they feel it's the specific person, not even just draw in for me my true soulmate or the person who will truly love me like I deserve to be loved. No, they've got to be like tall, dark, and handsome and multimillionaires.
With
and
a Ferrari.
I do that. Right. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Do you happen to know it? But I'm guilty. So, but I'm not attached to it. I'm just aware of it. If it's out there, here I am.
Yeah.
But that's the problem, that I believe that people lose themselves in it. And what I always say to people, like I have clients who'll call me and they break up with their boyfriend, and all they do is think of this person 24/7. When is he going to call? When is it? And I'm reading their energy, and I'm feeling, oh my God, like you're giving yourself totally away to somebody who's not even interested in you anymore.
Right.
And if you turn that focus back to yourself and give yourself that same level, so that to me is detaching from whatever it is.
I see.
To me, attachment is, when you're focusing on that outer thing, be it a person, a thing, and detaching is shifting your focus back to yourself.
Here's what I really like about that. It's not leaving a vacuum. Because if you're trying to push someone out of your life, you're leaving a vacuum. And of course, that's going to be filled with is wanting to have someone fill that space again.
Bingo. Yes.
Instead of leaving that vacuum, you're turning yourself into the person that fills that space. And if you don't feel like you're enough to fill that space, here's something for you to do. Practice loving yourself. You need to be able to feel like you deserve it more than anybody does. And if anybody sees you walking around having a great time all by yourself, they want to be with you because you're perky and exciting and lively and all those wonderful things that we all want in our lives. That's when you have to be careful because you're like a flame for a moth.
Yeah, it's true. You do have to be careful. But I think if once you're resonating at that frequency, you're going to draw in a quality person. If you're feeling all kinds of negative thoughts, that's when you draw in the more challenging relationships.
Possibly. Sometimes there's karmic relationships, like the narcissist, masochist, or empath relationships, pretty well known, where narcissists really try to draw in empathic people because empathic people are very good at supporting people like narcissists, and it's kind of a symbiotic relationship, but it's really painful and difficult for the empath.
I can't imagine an empath in a relationship with a narcissist. I can't see that lasting more than a day.
I can give you a list. Okay, it really happens a lot. I've even read articles about it. People documenting how this is a pattern. So it happens. It seems like it shouldn't, but it does.
It shouldn't, right? It seems like it shouldn't. But I guess because an empath is an empath, they would have more empathy for someone and maybe more tolerance. I don't know. But in theory, I would expect that to last a day or less.
They keep wanting to give him a chance or her a chance, give the other person a chance. And they keep forgiving and they keep, supporting, and it's okay, don't worry about it. And they feel so sorry for how they treated them. So
narcissists are tough. They're really tough. That's the problem. I think everybody walks away from a relationship with a narcissist at some point. You could only take so much.
It didn't take me long.
Now, which wife was that?
It wasn't one of the wives, no.
Oh, okay.
She never got that far.
Yeah, I could not see you with a narcissist. Though, when I think about it, my ex-husband was a narcissist. Louis, he was a narcissist.
I see.
But I learned a lot from that relationship. What, you didn't see that part of him?
I never got to see much of him at all. He
never really
kind of never
said
there,
anything.
So,
No, he was always there, but he never said anything.
Never said anything.
Never, at least on the stuff that we talked about, he never had anything to say. But he just always sort of disappeared into the background.
Mm-hmm.
Or he was in the basement in the man cave.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But do we have any callers on the line?
We have a lot of callers.
All right, so
we've got two more.
Oh.
All right, so let's start taking some calls.
Okay. Can I suggest Christina? Christina, you there?
Thank you. Hi. Yes. Thank you for taking my call.
Oh, sure. And so tell us what your story is. What is it that you?
Well, I have been struggling horrifically with letting go, and I feel like that I was guided here to the show today, and I'm really grateful because it's helping me to understand. And once you have a better understanding of really what letting go or letting be means, you organically can then effectively process what's going on with yourself, and it's going to be, my journey is going to be easier and more soothing and less painful because of what you guys shared, because you guys are spot on. And, I had left a message asking my ex for space to heal after everything that he put me through, not to make him feel bad, but I have to put myself first. I need to heal and focus on, as a grandmother, going to college and working on my college career. And I'm wondering if he's going to respect that and not have the same aggressive, ugly behavior as in the past. I'm hoping that I did say I want you to be happy, and I'm working on forgiving you, and I'm going to have to write it several times, but eventually I will get there because I do want you to be happy, and I'm ready to let go. So I've got some forgiveness techniques I'm going to be working on, and I actually started today on part of that, and I'm going to do it as long, like what the man was saying. I think you said it every day until finally you actually mean it.
Yeah.
Because I do know I want well, but I need the anger out of me and the resentment, and I want to be happy, and I really want to release it. Do you see him respecting my wishes and not doing what he did the last time to me? Because it gave me 2 heart attacks.
Got a first name?
Christina, yeah, first name.
Yeah, his name is Brandon.
Okay.
I don't see him magically changing. He may be a slight bit better than he was the last time, but I don't see a 180 on him. But one thing that I want to say to you, and I could feel a shift in your energy today. I mean, I haven't spoken with you before, but I see the awareness in your energy. You have the power to set your boundaries, and you have the power not to let him in. You don't have to let him in. So he could carry on, he could do whatever he wants to do. But if you define your own boundaries, he'll have no power over you. See, what's happening is, ironically, it almost feels a bit like a narcissistic kind of relationship where, he makes it all about him, his way. It's his way or no way is what it really feels like. And I feel that he doesn't respect your boundaries, and he doesn't really have that awareness of what it is that you want. And honestly, he doesn't come through like he understands words. I believe your actions are going to speak louder than words. So what I really encourage you to do is define your boundaries very clearly, which I believe you did, but then stick with it. Don't let him in. Don't let him in, period. If you give him 1 inch, he will take 10 miles because he's not ready to walk away. This is somehow, it's like you're the fire that ignites him in a way. And without you, he's like, there's no way for him to sustain himself. So he needs that. It feeds him. That's why, to me, it feels like a narcissistic relationship. But
it was. Yes, you're spot on with him.
Right.
And I'm
but don't
empath.
let him in. Oh, bingo. Here you go.
Okay, I got another one to add to my list.
But I was listening, and I was like, this guy's right. He's describing us, and I get what you said when you would think it wouldn't last for a day, but that's the web that I would get caught in is, because I can feel him and I can see him as a child, and I can, feel his
broken
journey.
Parts. Right.
Yes. And then I also see the beautiful, genuine parts as well. But because I want it only to be focused on the genuine parts, I've been in denial and ignoring the parts that are broken, that are violating my boundaries and snuffing out my light as a person. So self-respect and value of self has to be first. And I very clearly recorded a message on my phone and then left it on his answering machine. And then what happened? Last week he called, and it was the same thing. I let him in. Then he said something to me that just really broke my heart, and I just said, that's it. I absolutely, I left a message, actually it was yesterday, and said, I will never compromise who I am as a human being, my principles and my values to please any man, and that I want you to be happy and you go and find what you're looking for. But I need space to heal, and I truly forgive you. And I will have to say it several times and write it out. And I was saying this on the machine until I actually really mean it, because I want it for you and I don't want to hang on to resentment. And I'm the mother of your children, so I can't. It was just like the straw that broke the camel's back. His behavior continually got uglier and uglier with me not setting boundaries, me giving in. And then really he was reflecting back to me that the truth of it is I haven't respected myself. I didn't value myself. I didn't see what a gift to the world I am. So he reflected it back. So, I think what was going on is he was wanting me to be one way and I was wanting him to be the way he said he was going to be. But the truth kept coming up.
Right.
And so now it's like, okay, the whole world stopped, and it shouldn't. I mean, I need to have my relationship be with me and my higher self, number one, and then just see what happens, because anyone in my life must love, honor, and respect me. And if they don't, sadly, I have to say, hey, if that ever changes, my door's open. If it's not, the door is closed, because I came here, and like it was, I don't know what gentleman said it. Oh, I was going, oh my God, I did the same thing. I wanted to know what it would be like. I wanted to have more compassion. So I listed a bunch of addictions that people have about, 12 years ago. I'd like to have this happen, this. That way when I counsel people, I'll have more compassion. I don't know what the heck I was saying, because my world went to hell in a handbasket really quick. But really it was like, all right, then you want to teach self-reliance. You want to talk about compassion and forgiveness. Let's just throw you in, and it was beautiful, because the contrast does tell you what you absolutely do not want and very clearly shows you what you do want. I just wasn't sure how to get there, and that meant I'd have to settle down. I'd have to go within. That means I'd have to be quiet, and I'd have to listen to my inner voice, and I would have to not distract myself so that I could face. Yeah. So, I mean, you hit it spot on. Everything that you said, because when you said narcissist before you even took my call, I was like, oh my God, she is.
And he is. And I could feel it, right.
And yeah. And my way or the highway, and, the other thing is, so I'm learning not only about college and books and, everything I want to do, which when you were asking for a social media person, I'm learning how to do that now. Well, it will be in August. And I was like, once I learn, I'll say, hey, if you need a backup person. I have such a strong desire to take my love and passion for the words that I read in today's show's description. If I knew how to edit and clip and post and do colors to bring out and evoke the emotions of what those words of truth are with pictures, run it by you first, post it, I would happily do it, but I have to learn it. So I'm signed up from August to December. They're going to tailor it and show me everything I need to know so I can fly. And I also want to pay it forward. So I would love to, do this to say thank you. And all the light workers over the past, since 2008, that I've talked to on Blog Talk, who gave their time freely, and readings and energy healings and you name it, whatever their specialty was. And then like today, I feel like I'm in class because this is food for the soul. I'm the caterpillar who's spinning the cocoon right now. So I will be
Christina,
a great way to put it.
Be in touch. Keep in touch with us.
Yeah.
And you have the power here. Don't give your power away to Brandon. You have the knowledge. You have the power. And if you ever get to that point where you are ready to help us, let us know. We'll figure something out.
I'll reach out. You guys are amazing, and you're the real deal. And
Thank you.
I feel like
you
it's the
sound pretty
link in
amazing yourself, Christina.
Yeah, you do.
Pretty
We'd
amazing
love to have
yourself.
you. Yeah, we'd love to have you as part of the team. So,
Yeah.
do you know anything yet? Could you do anything?
Well, see, no, I won a book award, and I didn't quit after the 2 heart attacks that I had in March. And I really learned an awful lot. Your guest that was on, I just loved every hand that touched me, but I ignored what I needed to do for myself. So there were so many lessons bouncing off and mirroring from every person that came in, whether they were aware of it in their waking state, subconsciously it sucked it in. So when that seed's ready to sprout, but no, my guides asked me, I woke up hearing we'd like you to create an online social media account. And I thought, well, I'm nervous. These are the things I need. So I've already got the classes set up, and I thought maybe it doesn't mean right this second, but I have a fire in my belly, and I want those words that you wrote. I would love to artistically, with pictures and sounds and colors, do that. So I will promise. I already took your number down and the name of the host of the show, and emailed myself today's show so that I could go back and call me if you can, to let me know when your next show is, and then when I'm able to do it, which would be probably in about 3 months from now, I would absolutely love to volunteer my services as a way to say thank you and to be a part of helping in any way I can to the soul.
Paul did set the intent today that we were going to find somebody. So be sure to keep in touch. And my website is ladyfontaine.com. You could email me directly from there.
I will do that. I will send you out an email tomorrow. And I'm Christina at
Christina,
225. Thank you so much, you guys.
For calling. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Stick around. We're
Thank
not done
you.
yet.
You too.
Still have more.
Yes, definitely.
That was a great call. She sounded
That was
perfect. So let's hope she can
she really
get up to speed as quickly as she can.
quickly.
Well, we have tons of callers that we're trying to get to. We've got a half hour left, so we'll try to get to as many as we can. But we do have to remind everyone, we do have a secret code that we're giving out tonight for our services. Jim and Lady Fontaine have healing services of their own, and life coaching, relationship coaching, psychic readings, acupuncture, all kinds of Eastern medicine that you can talk to Jim about. And I do post-production for audio and music and songwriting, all kinds of engineering skills that I can give a discount for. So that code is TALG0610-RR. If you contact any of us, the three of us here, we will give you 50% off of our services. That is TALG0610-RR.
All right. So who else do we have? If we have so many people, let's try to whiz through as many as we can.
Okay. How about Lisa?
Okay.
So I spoke to Lisa. She needs help with tips on letting go of people that have a negative influence in her life. I think that's something we can all relate to. Jim, you gave a lot of good advice on the idea of detachment and letting go. So she's looking for help there.
Okay. Lisa, you there?
Do you want to?
Yes, I'm here. Hey, how are you?
All right. How are you?
Not bad at all.
So tell us your story.
Yeah, just wanted to get some advice on how to just let negative people go without feeling guilty.
Oh, that's has a lot to do with self-love.
Oh, that's where that comes from.
Yeah, or a lack thereof.
Oh.
Because if you really love yourself, you know that it's the same feeling you would have if a negative person were influencing one of your friends. You would have nothing to do with them. But you don't have.
That is a perfect example, right?
Same
If you're
amount
not
of
friends
feeling
with
for
yourself.
That's
That's
right.
beautiful.
You're right.
Yeah, how angry would you be if you saw someone treat you the way people treat somebody else that you love?
Yes.
And the way they treat you, you'd be furious at them. But when they treat you that way, you kind of just accept it.
Yes. I agree. Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
I also, yeah. So now my mind is, you have me thinking now. So I didn't feel that it had feeling guilty had anything to do with self-love, but now I'm looking at it in a different light.
Great.
And
right.
I feel, Lisa, that if you make a promise to yourself, you make a commitment to yourself to do it. And even if you make a few blunders here and there, you get right back on track. And remember, every time that you let someone hurt you, you're dishonoring yourself. And if you dishonor yourself, the universe will too. So what that means is you're going to end up drawing more situations and more people into your life that dishonor you or hurt you. So it's so important for you to honor yourself and make yourself number one, because if you don't, no one else will.
And a really important way, if you make a promise to yourself, like we're saying, make a promise to yourself. If you make a promise to yourself and you don't keep it, you're actually undermining your own credibility with yourself, which is one of the main reasons people don't like themselves, okay? Because they don't keep their own promises to themselves, because they say, well, this is more important to take care of somebody else. You can't do that. If you make a promise to yourself, be very careful what you promise yourself, and make sure that you follow through on it. Then you'll be...
I would suggest... Oh, go ahead, Jim. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
I would suggest you write it down. I tell my clients to write a commitment letter. I put your name on this date, make the promise to myself that I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, and sign it, and either keep it somewhere handy or put it in your desk drawer, but know it's there. And you've made that contract with yourself. Because the only person that it's serving is certainly not you if you're holding on to somebody or something that has no value to you. Then the only person you're hurting is yourself. So make that commitment.
Right.
Make that commitment to yourself.
Sounds good. Okay, I will.
All right. Good luck to you, Lisa. Thank you for calling.
Thank you. I love the advice. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you. Who's next?
Who's next? We have a return from Tanika. Do you remember Tanika?
Okay. Yes, I do.
Okay. Hold on. Here she is. Tanika?
Hi, Lady Fontaine. Hi, you guys.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome back. What's going on?
Right now, I'm trying to find a way to move, hopefully, to Florida. I've been trying to manifest it because I just need to find a way to do it so I can live and not end up on the street. If I just do it the way I want to do it, I have to wait and try to find the right job and live. So I've been just trying to lay low and working a lot to do that. And someone I spoke to you about in the past has come back, and he knows how I feel. I've been keeping, my distance. I still care a lot about him, and I'm hopeful. But he knows, I'm a relationship kind of girl. I'm not trying to force it on anyone, but he knows where I stand. So I'm just wondering if you see any difference this time. And I even told him that I'm thinking about moving out of state and everything. So he kind of knows what's going on with me. and he still seems interested. So I'm just wondering if you see like something better coming out of him connecting with me this time.
Remind me of his first name.
His first name is Frank.
Well, I would say there's a marginal difference. He feels a little bit more respectful of your values and your point of view, but he does not feel like he's done a 180, that he's magically going to, be there and be the man that you want him to be. But what my guides are saying to me is he hears you and he heard you when you say, and honestly, he does care about you. So I believe he cares about you enough not to put you through something that he's not willing to do. If he's not willing to do a relationship, I think he's right now being very respectful of that and not over pushing things with you. But I can't guarantee you that he's going to be able to fit every single criteria that you want. He's not quite showing that to me yet. And regarding your move, did you say that you are looking to get a job first, or you're not looking to get a job first?
I'm looking to get a job first because I'm afraid to just do it without having a job down there or anything. I have this fear of like not being able to take care of myself and not being able to survive, because it would be the first time of my own, and on top of that, it's out of state.
Yes, that's the right way of doing it. And actually, with you, are you sending out resumes and really pursuing this? Because I see an opportunity opening up for you in August of this year in Florida. So if you are really pursuing it, you're going to draw it in.
Oh, that's good.
And then from there, obviously, if you get the job, then you have to move. So make sure you're ready, because I kind of feel they're going to want you to start like within a couple weeks after they make the offer and you accept it.
Okay.
So try to get all the pieces in place. And how do you feel at that point about leaving Frank? Is he going to be something that holds you back from doing this?
It's 50-50, because it's like I don't expect him to be my dream man, because I know that we still have a lot of get to know each other with, because he still has a lot of letting me into his life and wanting to be a part of my life he has to do. I feel his interest in me and I care about him. So it's like I'm just looking for him to just be genuine. If he was to step forward and be genuine about some kind of feelings for me, then it probably would rock me enough to hesitate leaving so soon. But the fact that he's just, coming back with like the flirty texting and everything, which it's fine, it's fun, like it's fun, but he knows that's not enough to fully satisfy me. If I agree to see him, like it's gonna hurt me in the end. So if he just wants to just give me that, like this teenage stuff, I'm just gonna feel like he just doesn't value me. He doesn't care about me enough to give me a relationship, and it hurts my self-esteem.
Right.
And I know that I shouldn't put that much on someone that, he moves at his own pace. Everybody does. But I feel like it's going to hurt me, and it's going to make me just want to I'm going to feel like hurt. I'm going to want to go, and I shouldn't. I know I shouldn't.
Well, the letting go part that we were talking about earlier really applies here, because I think defining your boundaries is very important with him. But you're creating a self-fulfilling prophecy by holding on to the past with him. I would say give him the opportunity to show you what he has to offer, which he is showing you. And then you're in a position where you can decide one way or the other if it's right for you. But try to let go of that thought that if I let him in, he's going to hurt me, because that all becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And that's the energy you're sending out. If you listen to our last show, that you'll know that that's what you're going to end up drawing. So be careful of that and try to let go of those feelings and try to trust the process. But don't let go of defining your boundaries and going up, take his actions as the lead. If he's not giving you what you want, then why hold on?
Yeah, I know.
You're holding on to a dream, and I don't know if he could ever fulfill that dream.
Yeah, it's hard because it's like you want to see him, but you just want to afterwards, also ask to hang out again, like just to go to get like a cup of coffee or eat dinner after you guys had this crazy night together. You would also like that part.
Yeah, but if he's not giving it to you, then you're not honoring yourself.
Right. That's why I'm staying back a little until he comes up stronger.
Right.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't live your own life and let go of this dream, because they're one of the quotes that I read is when you realize and you let go of something that isn't working, you're able to draw in the right thing for you.
Right. With going to Florida, am I going to go with this job? Because they have locations in Florida, and they said I could apply after June 27th.
You should apply. You should apply. You absolutely should apply. Will you get it? There's, I would say, between a 70 and 80% likelihood that you would get it.
With my current job in Florida?
Yes. If you want it, you may decide you want something else, but I would say there's a very high probability that you would get it.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
But I do see another opportunity for you as well. So don't limit yourself.
Okay.
All right, Janika. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll be in touch.
All right.
All right.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Another call?
Yep.
Okay, here we have Lisa. Hi, Lisa, you there? Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
This is my story, and I'll tell you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Excuse me. I went to the dollar store, the cheap little store, that I bought a card which had a big sunny sunshine face on it, and I opened it up and wrote, "Hey, Erin, I hope you're well. I hope you're okay. I miss our conversations. If you ever want to have a conversation, here's my phone number." And then I signed it.
Didn't we tell you not to do this? Didn't we tell you not to do this?
And then I mailed it to him.
Oh, boy.
Really? Was that the wrong thing?
The reason why, let me tell you, Lisa, the reason why is you're trying to manipulate the outer world. And when you do, you may get a response from him. But the response is not going to be permanent. Anything that you try to manipulate outside of you is just a temporary fix. See, you're fixated on him, and you're in that state of want. And you've listened to, because you've called in a lot, so I know you're listening to a lot of our shows. And you know what I say about want. When you want something, you keep it away. If you look up the meaning of want in a dictionary, it's lack of. So you're sending out more of not having him rather than having him. And the more you try to lure him in, trust me, when he's ready, he'll show up. So what happened when you sent him this card from the dollar store?
I haven't heard anything. It's been about 6 days, but I'm not, this is the thing. I don't want him in my life permanently. I want him. I just want to have a conversation is all I want. To clear up a misunderstanding is all I want. That's it. And, whenever he wants to come and go after that, that's fine. I mean, as far as friends go, I don't want he doesn't fit in my life.
I don't
really
know
does.
that I fully believe you. I think you're trying to tell yourself a story. What I feel in your energy is you miss him, you miss the camaraderie, you miss the companionship, you miss all of that, and you're trying to get that back. And I believe that you believe by clearing up the misunderstanding, you'll get it back. And I think the most important thing is from the get-go is be honest with yourself. Yes, because remember, even Paul said it earlier about setting your intent. So set your intention. I want this man back. I miss him. And I would almost rather you say that than all this other stuff, because then you're being honest with yourself.
Okay. Well, do you feel there'll be a response?
Not from that. I mean, and like, even if it is, so he'll reach out and say one thing and then disappear again. And that's not the way to do, that's not what you want. I would say a better approach, if you have to do something, is just reach out, call him and say, would you just call me back? I need to talk to you. This is important. And stop playing games. And then just have a conversation. But first be honest with you. Yes, I want this man in my life. Yes, it might not be the man I want to spend the rest of my life with, but I want him back. I miss him. Because if you're not honest with yourself and you don't have a clear intention, you're going to spin in circles and go nowhere. But remember, you cannot control the outer world. Anything that happens from you reaching out is just a temporary fix.
Oh, okay.
Something else will happen and it'll back away again and you'll be right where you are right now. So keep that in mind, because if he was right for you, he would still be there.
Oh, God, I know.
Because I don't really think you did anything so wrong. I don't think it was such a big misunderstanding, honestly.
I think maybe he thought I wanted more or something.
Right. I do agree with that. We discussed that a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I believe that is true, but I believe in a way you do.
No, God, no, not from him. No.
You may not want a committed relationship from him, but I do believe you want more of him.
Well, if it works out like that, I mean, I would just be pleased with the conversation, really, at this point. That's it.
You miss the attention. You miss the attention. And the way to get that attention back is to stop thinking about him and give yourself the attention. You said weeks ago that I don't know if you did check my website about doing life coaching, but we're running the half price sale. This is the time to do it if you're interested, because you need work on you in order to be able to manifest the things that you truly desire. Because right now you're spinning your wheels and you're focusing so much on the outer world that you're dishonoring you.
Well, it's good to hear, because Saturday I'm going to an all-day retreat, and that retreat focus is all about the inner me.
Good.
I'm very, very busy. I'm unbelievably busy. I'm working out. The list just goes on. Plus, I have my own work. But him, I just, I know you say that I want more with him, but at this point, I would just love a conversation. That's all, and then
why?
What do you hope to get from the conversation?
Yeah, right.
What's that going to do for you?
Because
it's give her more of him. Go ahead.
I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
It's going to give you more of him.
No, it's a way to just say, look, I apologize if you thought I wanted something different. I didn't want to make that the way it was. And it was just the whole experience was bizarre for me. I think back on it, and every phase of it was very bizarre for me.
But
And
why is that so important that you straighten that out with Tim?
Is it closure, or is it maybe he'll come back?
No, not come back. I can't even go anywhere with him.
Uh-huh.
It's a bizarre situation with he and I.
Well, he's a lot younger.
Sounds like one of those karmic situations I was talking about before, where there's a connection, but it really goes into the twilight zone.
Well, he's a lot younger than she is.
Yeah.
And he's not someone that I, would feel my interest being held. He gave me a lot of worship. He was worshiping me.
Mm-hmm.
And I just look at that and I think, that was really nice. And I didn't realize how nice it was when it was happening.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's important for you to admit to yourself that you miss that.
Well,
if you didn't, well, maybe in this weekend class that you're going to, the reality, the realization will come to you, because if you didn't miss it, you'd be able to let it go.
Or even better, you'd be able to walk away.
Probably. I think that for him, it was not it was just really, it was a total misunderstanding. I totally misunderstood the whole thing from the get-go. I didn't understand what was going on. And I don't mean to make it sound like I was Pollyanna or anything like that. But I would like, if he wants to drop in periodically, that's fine. I mean, even if it's by phone call, that's all. That's all I want. He's not someone I want to have a relationship. No. It doesn't hold my interest. He didn't hold my interest either.
Right. But I think you miss the attention right now. And that's what you're really craving to get back. You might not see it yet, but maybe after that class you will.
Yeah, there's no depth there, though. It's not a class. It's an all-day meditation. It's a meditation center.
But that's even better. That's even better. You'll have that time to do that reflection.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And, well, thank you. Thank you for your time, you all.
Enjoy your retreat. Enjoy your retreat. And give your mind some time to open up to whatever's there for you.
Oh, well, that's the whole point.
Yeah, I know, but it's good to hear, right?
You all take care.
You too, Lisa.
Thank
you so much for calling in. We had a really good show tonight. There's a lot of interesting callers, a lot of different topics that we can all kind of take to heart. And I know I'm going to be working through some of this. Let it be, not let it go. Let it be. That's a perspective shift that is really important. And I think that's a great way of looking at things. So we want to thank
and that is actually good advice to Lisa. Let it be.
Let it be.
Instead,
exactly.
Right. Just let it be.
Yep. Well, thank you to our live stream viewers and those who called in tonight. We enjoyed hearing your stories, and we really appreciate you, especially those of you who was on hold for a long time. We know it's a long wait sometimes. Our next show is on Thursday, July 29th at 8 p.m., and the topic is astrology and the age of Aquarius. So mark your calendars. Be sure to join us for that exciting show and in 2 weeks here on Blog Talk Radio, as well as video streaming live at 8 p.m. Eastern. We have lots of great topics in queue, and welcome your suggestions for topics that you want us to talk about. Email us at radioshow@ladyfontaine.com with your suggestions, testimonials, or just to say hello. Please visit Lady Fontaine at ladyfontaine.com for a reading or life coaching session. For those listeners in New York, visit Jim at East West Healing Arts in Hartsdale, New York. Website is eastwesthealing.info. Facebook page is East West Healing Arts. And I have my own show on purerockradio.net on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard called 6 Degrees with Paul LaPlaca. Good night, and we look forward to seeing you on June 10th at 8 p.m. on Eye on the Future.
Another great show thanks to our callers and wonderful listeners. Be sure to follow us here on Blog Talk Radio and on Facebook. Check back regularly for info on our next show here on Blog Talk Radio on Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. If you miss a show or want to listen again, you can listen to the podcast anytime here or on iTunes. Signing off from all of us here on Eye on the Future. Blessings.